a young man. On his very first day at a Korean elite school, unexpectedly got the hot girl, the prettiest girl in class, to actively ask for his info. But this guy doesn't know what Facebook or TikTok is, which is truly surreal. In fact, since growing up, he has never once touched a phone. It turns out Kanggon's true identity is one of North Korea's most excellent spies. Since the age of 6, he has undergone extremely harsh physical training. At 10 years old, he had already completed high school curriculums. At 12, he mastered all types of military weapons. At 16, he could solo a high-ranking officer to a draw. Regarding his family background, his old man is North Korea's #1 hacker, and his mother is a female assassin who once made the whole world tremble with fear. Since he was small, Kanggon was trained to become an excellent spy. This time, his mission is to infiltrate the circle of rich kids in South Korea. The next day at Seoul International School, at this moment on Kanggon's desk, a new phone had been placed. Whenever someone walked by, the young man would dart his eyes around to see if anyone noticed he had just bought a phone. His friend Liera, seeing that, was speechless. Very quickly, Kanggon noticed her gaze. He didn't hesitate to flex the blue device, which was very trendy. Liera couldn't help but feel amused. Is that really a flex? It's just a cheap brick phone, in this class. Only you didn't have one, Grandpa. Donggu turned around to chat with Kanggon. You're using a phone now, huh? But then suddenly, a redhead walked over from somewhere and put his arm around his shoulder. He asked Donggu, but his eyes glanced towards Kanggon. Are you too close already? Donggu stammered, answering that Gon would tutor him in math. The guy standing next to the redhead didn't say anything but just narrowed his eyes at Kanggon. Our main guy didn't back down and looked straight into his eyes. The redhead rubbed Donggu's head, smiling, saying that's fine. After all, you need to study harder. His face suddenly became dangerous. But I have some business with him. Hearing that, Donggu didn't dare say anything. A second later, he immediately stood up and walked out of the classroom. Seeing that, the redhead flashed an arrogant smile, looking at Kanggon with mocking eyes. Speaking of this redhead's background, his name is Go Jin-suk, CEO of IU's M family, and the second son of Congressman Go Young-chon, a heavyweight political figure, currently topping the approval ratings for the presidency. Next, Kanggon shifted his gaze to the guy standing next to Jin-suk, Hwang Gu-young, the eldest son of Hwang Jae-chun, chairman of Daejeon Group, a conglomerate in the top 30 of the business world. Daejeon Group focuses on the global sports industry. Kanggon's mouth corner involuntarily lifted up. Then he smiled with squinted eyes, saying to them, "Should I tutor you guys in math too?" Hearing that, these two got very angry. Because no one in the school had ever dared to talk back to them, except for Kanggon. Jin-suk walked away casually, but didn't forget to tell Gu-young, make sure he doesn't bother anyone. He placed his hand on Kanggon's shoulder. Hey, transfer student. The most important thing here is knowing your place. He spoke while putting his face close to Kanggon, his tone sounding like he was giving an order. Be quiet and don't attract attention, understand? After speaking, his hands suddenly exerted force, squeezing hard on his shoulder. Kanggon's eyes immediately darkened. His whole body suddenly emitted a killing intent, making others feel a chill. The friendly gaze from earlier had now turned frantic, like a wild beast looking at its prey. Suddenly, he swung his arm. Gu-young was hit. Before he could even understand what happened, even the dent on his neck was visible to the naked eye, and this was just him using the soft part of his hand to attack. Otherwise, that guy would have already met his maker. But actually, all of that was just Kanggon's imagination. Because once these rich kids get beaten up, it becomes very troublesome. At this moment, Gu-young was still sticking his chin up, speaking to him in a bossy tone. I said don't attract attention. Understand? He didn't reply but just smiled and asked back, don't attract attention. What does that mean? At the same time, he raised his left hand intending to do something. Seeing that, the guy didn't understand what he wanted to do. He only saw his left hand slowly placed onto his wrist. Then Kanggon suddenly squeezed really hard. Gu-young immediately felt an extremely painful sensation. His hand felt like it was being tightened by a pincer, about to snap. The pain made him unable to stand firm, forcing him to kneel on one knee. At this moment, in the eyes he looked at him with, there was only fear left. Kanggon just smiled and asked him, here, is this how you make friends? Jin-suk, sitting at a table not far away, witnessed everything. He realized Kanggon was not someone easily bullied. Over there, Young quickly pulled his hand out of his grip. Embarrassment turned into anger. Veins immediately popped out on his forehead. He intended to intimidate the new transfer student, but the result was total humiliation. The young man was very bitter, so he raised his fist intending to punch Kanggan. "You bastard, do you want a beating?" However, facing that punch, our guy didn't even care. His eyes looked in another direction. On the ceiling, there was a camera attached. He remembered the words his father had said to him before. In Korea, there are surveillance cameras almost everywhere. He just performed a few simple operations, and very quickly hacked into the school's surveillance system. From classrooms to the dining hall, from the physical training room to the teachers' offices, nothing escaped the eyes of the two of them. Kanggan didn't expect his fake dad to have skills that were actually legit and impressive. He laughed smugly and declared that a few hackers like this were just trivial to him. Kanggan excitedly clenched his fist. "As expected of the number one in Ryangang, comrade. I knew you were the best computer expert in North Korea." He turned to him and reminded, that tone again. "Fix it immediately." He seriously replied, "Yes." Finally, he carefully instructed, "You absolutely must not cause violence here. Remember that everything is recorded." Back to the present. Young intended to rush in and throw hands at Kanggan, but he dodged it. Then he placed both hands on the edge of a desk and pushed hard, causing the desk to hit his stomach. Finally, he was pushed back, having to lean on the desk behind him to stand steady. Once again being outclassed by our main guy. He was extremely furious, veins popping on his face. His eyes glared fire at him. "You bastard, how dare you?" But facing the guy who was fuming, Kanggan remained calm, saying nothing. Suddenly from behind, Liera shouted loudly, "Stop!" Hearing that, Young was startled and glanced behind. She spoke loudly to him, "Are you planning to lower yourself to that level?" Jin Suk suddenly cut in. "This transfer student really doesn't know our rules." His eyes still looked at Kanggan with annoyance. "Then he needs to be taught a lesson." Liera frowned and said, "I said stop because he looks too pathetic." "Young, that includes you too." Finally, Young didn't dare to go against her will. He gritted his teeth looking at Kanggan, speaking with a threatening voice, "I'll see you privately later." But our main guy still nonchalantly smiled and said, "Meeting privately, just the two of us?" That made the guy extremely bitter, but he couldn't do anything. Finally, he could only walk away in anger. The atmosphere in the class returned to normal. He thought to himself, 4 stars means a target for recruitment. How should I approach this? A while later, a blonde girl was waving, greeting the students in the class. "Hello everyone." Kanggan grimaced below, thinking, "Recruitment target, what should I do?" The teacher smiled kindly, extended her hand and said to him, "There's a new face here. Nice to meet you. Can you keep up with the native language class?" He thought, figure out a way later, then replied, "Don't worry about that, miss." The teacher standing on the podium was a bit surprised. "Your pronunciation is really good. Where did you study?" He answered, "I studied at New York International School. I moved back to Korea because of my father's job." Hearing that, students in the class immediately started buzzing. The teacher clapped her hands together happily, continuing, "Talking with Kanggan will help everyone improve their skills. Your pronunciation is totally American style." The young man, being praised, immediately stuck his chin up, very arrogantly. Liera sitting above turned around. Seeing his expression, she couldn't help laughing. Sitting on the right, one row of desks away, were Jin Suk and Young. The two guys were looking at him with hateful eyes. Because since forever, he was the first person in class who dared to talk back to them. During break time, some female students gathered at his desk, talking happily. "This guy's pronunciation is even better than the teacher's. From New York? Why didn't you say so yesterday?" The three girls looked at Kanggan with eyes like they wanted to swallow him alive. Making the young man sweat, he could only sit still, not daring to say anything. Kanggan suddenly held out the phone he just bought in front of the three girls. Opposite him, a hand suddenly took his phone away. It turned out to be Liera. She assessed the device while saying, "Is this from our company?" Kanggan's mouth corner lifted, thinking, "So I successfully caught the attention of this girl." He couldn't help but brag, "I have Instagram now," making her very surprised. "Really?" Curious, she clicked on his profile to check. She saw inside it was full of photos Kanggan took with his parents while traveling from the Forbidden City in Beijing, China. Eiffel Tower in the capital Paris. Magnificent France. But wherever it was, there was only a single expression and a single pose. Surely jealous kids would say it's photoshopped. Liara finished viewing and couldn't help complimenting. Your family looks so happy. Kong-gon laughed secretly inside. Dad is indeed the best computer expert in North Korea. Is that skilled enough yet? The next day Kong-gon was standing in a crowd also waiting for cars to arrive. He kept looking back and forth, as if waiting for something. Since this is an elite school for the rich, there was no shortage of expensive cars around. He recalled the words his old man had said to him. Today a new car will wait for you after school, okay? Hey man, what kind of talk is that? Time gradually passed. Everyone was quickly picked up by cars. When Liara walked past him, she unexpectedly turned back and waved goodbye. See you tomorrow. Kong-gon silently watched Liara's back until she left. His mouth corner suddenly lifted up. Seems like she's noticing me. But he didn't know. Gu-young and Jin-suk were standing behind his back. Gu-young suddenly walked up and patted his shoulder. Yes, I should go with them. He looked at them thinking, I need to recruit these comrades too. Then he asked after them, where do you guys want to take me? Gu-young didn't reply but only coldly turned back to say, get in the car while I'm still speaking nicely. Not waiting for him to reply, the two of them followed the bodyguard towards a yellow car parked across the street. His eyes suddenly flashed a strange light. That's right. This is a recruitment opportunity. For the sake of mission accomplishment, he didn't hesitate to follow them. Suddenly, the sound of a car engine roared, along with the appearance of a red car. That noise caused everyone to turn their heads to look. It was a red convertible, speeding at an extremely fast pace, but with the driver's extremely fierce driving skills. The car pulled over to the curb incredibly smoothly. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the car door opened and a man appeared. That was Kong-gon's fake dad. Seeing him, he excitedly waved his hand. Son, Dad is here to pick you up. Here's Dad. The atmosphere seemed to freeze. The street immediately fell silent. The two guys looked until they felt itchy, not knowing what to say. As for the son, he was sweating at the cool guy appearance of his dad. Seeing he didn't answer, he continued to yell, here's Dad. But before he could continue speaking, he quickly stepped up to the car and lowered his head to whisper in his ear something that people outside couldn't hear clearly. Then he quickly gave a thumbs up. You made more new friends? You'll ride your friend's car? Hearing that, the young man breathed a sigh of relief, considering it a narrow escape. He said, okay then. Dad will see you at home. Seeing his dad had driven away, Kong-gon finally felt truly at ease. He turned back intending to continue what was happening earlier. The two guys were looking at him with extremely angry eyes. You really need to be taught a lesson. After that, Kong-gon got into their car. The yellow car slowly moved through the city. Jin-suk sat in the front while the bodyguard was driving. In the back were Kong-gon and Gu-young. He thought to himself, I don't know where they plan to take me. Very quickly, the car stopped at a high-rise building. Kong-gon opened the door and stepped out. Striking his eyes were the words TG Sport. Jin-suk turned around saying, just go straight in. I'll come in later. From behind, the bodyguard spoke to Kong-gon. Outside the school gate. I'm ordered not to leave you for even a minute. His eyes narrowed looking at him. Kong-gon felt this guy was also not ordinary. Then everyone entered the building. Inside was a sports gym, fully equipped with modern devices. Seeing that, Kong-gon thought, is this some kind of training facility? A man stepped out to greet them. You've arrived. You passed cage number 3, right? He lifted his head replying, of course. Yes. Gu-young said, don't let anyone else in. The other person immediately bowed, yes. Then, he suddenly turned to whisper to Kong-gon, just apologize unconditionally. I will call an ambulance. So it's best if you faint quickly. He didn't understand, asking back, ambulance for what? Gu-young suddenly shouted at him. Come here quickly. Making the man startled and hurriedly stand up straight. After that, Kong-gon was led to an octagon cage. Gu-young on the side had started taking off his shirt. He put on gloves and started warming up his body. He just stood still observing everything, without saying another word. Up above, Jin-suk said to him, it's been a while since someone entered here with that face. He turned back asking, you want me to spar with him? Jin-suk was surprised, spar? Then he suddenly laughed loudly. Right, whether it's sparring or whatever, who cares? His eyes clearly revealed a crazy look. If you understand, then sign here quickly. Gu Young's finger pointed at the paper on the table. Kang Gon narrowed his eyes coldly, observing every term on it. This is an agreement stating that the match has been agreed upon by both parties. If any injury occurs, both parties will not pursue responsibility, civil or criminal. He thought to himself, so that's how it is. Didn't expect these Chable kids to be quite smart. They already calculated the consequences of assaulting others beforehand. If the victim signs this agreement, they won't have to bear any responsibility. Kang Gon looked up and asked Jin Suk, "You want me to sign here?" He grinned, showing his teeth. "What, are you scared? If you kneel and bark like a dog, I'll let it slide once." He didn't reply, just looked at him with cold eyes. Seeing that, Jin Suk looked displeased. Why is there no reaction? This guy is really weird. Kang Gon turned his back to him and asked, "Recording isn't allowed here, right?" Gu Young frowned hearing that. "What? You bastard, what are you saying?" Kang Gon held the pen to sign while asking, "Do I have to fight?" Jin Suk laughed contemptuously. "Did you drink too much foreign water so you don't understand the language?" Our Gu Young easily takes down Korean champions. If you get beaten by him, consider yourself dead. On the other side, Gu Young had also finished preparing. He was very happy because he was about to personally teach Kang Gon a lesson, but suddenly he handed the agreement in front of him. While taking off his shirt, he said, "You sign here too, hurry up." Inside the octagon cage, Gu Young stretched his shoulders while looking at him with provocative eyes. Kang Gon didn't look at him, he just focused on putting on gloves. He started provoking him. "You bastard, look at your face. You're frozen stiff." He warmed up while walking closer to him. Kang Gon thought to himself, "What should I do with this now? Normally, with these brats, he only needs one punch to end them. However, this is South Korea. He can't do that." In his head, he started imagining the fight scenario. When he attacks, he will dodge, then take the chance to strike hard at his ribs. However, this method won't work either. Because if this hit connects, the guy's internal organs will be mashed to pulp. Attacking the eyes is also a no-go. He doesn't want to blind him. The ultimate move of destroying the family jewels can't be used either, because it's too savage. In his imagination, if this guy doesn't die, he'll be crippled. That made him very confused. How can I teach this brat a lesson? At this moment, Gu Young used his fist to attack him. Kang Gon just glanced once and clearly saw his movements, and he easily dodged without any difficulty. Seeing that, he continued to throw another punch with his left hand, but he still tilted his head and dodged, causing his punch to hit thin air. Seeing that, he started sweating, as he realized he was nothing like the people he used to bully. Even the bodyguard and Jin Suk started to view him differently. Gu Young suddenly stepped back a few steps. He took a stance and asked Kang Gon, "You brat, have you been training lately?" But facing his question, he remained silent and didn't answer. He angrily gritted his teeth, "You mute bastard." But the response was still just an indifferent gaze from Kang Gon. He ground his teeth, veins popping on his face. He furiously rushed and intending to hit him. "What's with that expression, you bastard?" But before he could do anything, the guy received a slap. His movement was so fast that he couldn't see anything. Even Jin Suk and the bodyguard didn't know what had just happened. The guy, having his cheek caressed by him, was purple with rage. His eyes were bloodshot. "You bastard!" he screamed in rage while rushing forward. "I'll kill you." But the young man continued to be slapped by Kang Gon like a child one more time. And this time, he still didn't see anything. Suddenly, a heavy silence fell. The whole room went quiet. He didn't give up. Just as he opened his mouth to scream and curse Kang Gon as a bastard, the very next second he was smacked again by him, distorting his face ID. And this time, with the slap being too strong, he couldn't stand firm. Very quickly, the guy had to hit the floor. Only Kang Gon was left standing there. Thus, he won with just 3 slaps. Such a result made Jin Suk and the bodyguard extremely terrified. He said to them, "There are no serious injuries. I went easy on him." Then he opened the cage door and stepped out. "If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." Jin Suk immediately shouted, "Stop right there." Hearing that, he frowned, appearing not to understand. What else does he want? Then Jin Suk walked downstairs and walked very quickly up to him. He wasn't angry at all, on the contrary, he said happily, "From now on, you will be my right-hand man." He asked in surprise. What right-hand man? Jin Suk excitedly said to the bodyguard standing nearby. This guy is too strong. As for Konggon, he was still bewildered as an owl. What the hell is a right-hand man? Jin Suk slowly explained. From now on, you will be my right arm. You know who my dad is, right? Hearing this, he remembered the mission. So he couldn't help but nod. The guy immediately put his arm around him. Let's go celebrate. I'll treat you to a grand meal. He thought to himself, I didn't expect the mission to go so smoothly. Clearly I just beat up his underling. Yet everything is still going according to plan. Truly surreal. In the evening, Konggon returned home. His mother came to the door to greet him. Son, you're back? The father asked. Did you make new friends today? He replied yes. His mother smiled and asked, what about dinner? He awkwardly turned away. I ate with friends. I'm going to rest early today. The two looked at each other, seeming not to understand what was going on. Konggon went to his room. After closing the door, he immediately lay down on the bed. Being too tired, he couldn't help but put his hand on his forehead. This mission is really not easy. Remembering earlier, Jin Suk had taken him to a luxury restaurant. He said to him, how is it? Nice place, right? This is where I often come with my family, just eat comfortably. Konggon used a knife and fork to cut a piece of beef steak, then slowly brought it to his mouth to taste. Unexpectedly, its flavor immediately made him freeze. Because it was too delicious, the beef was cooked medium rare. The meat was very tender and juicy, he couldn't get enough of it. Seeing that, Jin Suk had to laugh. What's with that face? Konggon couldn't help but recall the arrogant, haughty Jin Suk from before. He ate while evaluating. Is this really the same person? Jin Suk said to him. Even though you are my right-hand man. It's no big deal. Just crush anyone who wants to climb above. But now there's no one like that anymore. He put a piece of beef in his mouth and replied. I don't like bullying the weak. He continued, the weak don't even dare to come near me. He asked, then what about Donggu? Jin Suk was stunned, then suddenly remembered the guy with glasses. I think his name is Jang Donggu. He asked back, Donggu is weak? Then he recounted back in middle school. I used to be in his circle. He curiously asked, what is a circle? You don't know what running errands is? Like a lackey, a lackey. Jin Suk clasped his hands together and continued. His family is a top legal family in Korea. His father is the head of the Central Prosecutor's Office. Back then, before my dad became a party leader, I did exactly what he ordered, living cautiously, careful with every step. The more Konggon listened, the more serious his expression became. Finally, Jin Suk looked straight at him and said, Korea is that kind of place. Parents' influence is the true power. He thought to himself, as expected. This mission is really not easy at all. Worried about Konggon, his parents entered the room and asked, is something wrong? What's wrong, son? If something is bothering you, tell dad. He calmly replied, it's nothing. But his eyes avoided them, not daring to look straight at them. Korean society is too complex, completely different from what I was taught. His hands interlaced and clenched slightly. Adapting is not easy at all. The father suddenly spoke up. Don't say those weak words. Comrade, have you forgotten who you are? Hearing that, he involuntarily straightened his back and looked up. His father's eyes looked straight at Konggon, making him feel an invisible pressure. He immediately stood at attention and reported, apologies. I will ensure this never happens again. Seeing that, his parents finally smiled happily. In his room, Konggon was constantly learning and getting used to the living environment in Korea. I am an elite North Korean agent, belonging to the Dark Special Forces unit in South Korea. Failing the mission is absolutely impossible for me. At this moment, his parents felt reassured and closed the door to leave. The next day, Konggon went to school as usual. Donggu at the desk above suddenly turned around to ask him. Nothing happened yesterday, right? But he didn't answer, thinking in his head. The fact that you used to bully others. I wonder if it's true. Then he asked a question that made him freeze. You used to be a bully in middle school, right? Donggu stammered explaining, that was when I was small. Really small, I didn't know anything. I'm not like that anymore. He said, don't worry. I don't keep lackeys or anything like that. Then, he gave a thumbs up, affirming with extreme confidence. You and I are friends. The young man heard this and sweated, saying nothing. As for Konggon, he was sure that this guy was also unlucky. Good, very natural. Donggu was about to say something to him. But when he saw Jin Suk appear, he turned back around. Anyway, I'm glad nothing happened. He crossed his arms and said to him, don't worry, Donggu. Because from now on, we will be real friends. Suddenly, Jin Suk called Kang Gon's name, making him turn around. Seeing him, he also raised his hand to greet him in a friendly way. Did you get home safely yesterday? Thanks for the meal. Hearing that, everyone in the class simultaneously looked at them with eyes of clear astonishment. Clearly, yesterday these two almost rushed in to beat each other up. Yet today they are so close. Kang Gon walked over to Jin Suk. Next time, let me treat you to a meal. He pointed to the seat next to him. Come sit here. He thought to himself. Isn't that Huang Guyoung's seat? Seeing he was still standing still, he asked, why aren't you sitting? For a moment, Kang Gon still stood there with a blank face, not answering. But then his brain suddenly clicked very fast. Could this be a reorganization of the bully rankings? Meaning I have become number 2? Thinking so, he sat down with peace of mind. With a very confident expression. The whole class seeing that also remained silent, saying nothing. He smiled secretly in his heart. Everything is progressing smoothly. In the following classes, students in the class listened attentively to the lecture. But then Kang Gon quickly realized one thing. It had been so long, yet he hadn't seen Gu Young appear. It couldn't be that he can't come to school, right? Scene shifts to the gym. Gu Young was enduring an extremely painful beating. Every time the pain came down, his whole body trembled with pain. While hitting, the man angrily said, you can't even do such a simple thing? Hey, you idiot, to get you into that special class. Do you know how much money I poured in? This person is the head of Daejeon Group. Chairman Huang Jaecheon. The assistant wearing glasses hurriedly stopped him. Chairman, please stop, I'm sure he understands enough. Huang Jaecheon said angrily. This family will become the president in the next election. Stick close to that guy, understand? If needed, flatter him until your lips wear out. If you understand, then get lost. I don't want to see your face anymore. After he left, Jaecheon asked the assistant, found them yet? His eyes didn't hide his rage. What kind of family is it? The assistant replied, it's the owner of a multinational corporation, trading cryptocurrency, 11 coin and security programs. He added, it seems their capital is also quite solid. Jaecheon said, then invite them for a meal. The assistant asked back, but where, sir? He coldly replied, right in this gym. Hearing that, the assistant bowed, understood, chairman. The more he thought, the angrier he got. Just a nobody. Yet dares to interfere in my business. Back at school, the classes had ended. Before leaving, Liara waved goodbye to Kang Gon. See you tomorrow. From earlier until now, the bodyguard had been staring at him. Then he suddenly said a sentence with a strange tone. Take good care of your parents. Hearing that, he only felt confused. Jin Suk also bid him farewell and saw him tomorrow. Watching their backs as they left, he thought. Take good care of my parents? What does that mean? A while later, the father drove the red car to pick up Kang Gon. He pointed to the passenger seat, get in, son. The young man was speechless, you're showing off. A bit too much, old man. In the evening, he was having dinner with his parents in the dining room. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door outside. They went to open the door and discovered it was him. The assistant introduced himself. I am from the secretarial office of Daejeon Group. The father smiled friendly and replied, yes, hello, what's the matter? Kang Gon thought to himself, Daejeon Group is Gu Young's family. The assistant spoke in a serious tone. The son of a member of our family was assaulted by your son. Kang Gon's parents heard this and turned their heads to look at their troublemaking son. The young man sweated. Sign the paper already, yet still playing the snitching game. What the hell? The assistant continued. Our general director has no intention of making a big deal out of this, he wants to meet you to have a meal together. The father scratched his head and laughed, haha. Right, a scuffle between kids is nothing. The assistant asked, if you are free, shall we go now? Finally, he agreed, alright, let's go. But when Kang Gon wanted to follow, he turned his head, using a serious gaze to tell him, stay home. Seeing that, both he and his mother didn't dare to follow. A while later, the assistant led the father to the TG Sport building. Please come this way. Beside the octagon cage, someone was already sitting there waiting for him. He didn't hesitate and followed the assistant into the gym. Chairman Huang Jaecheon sneered. I heard my son was beaten miserably by your kid. The father remained silent and didn't answer. The chairman stepped down asking, how do you plan to handle this? He said in a soft voice, What do you want us to do? Please just speak frankly. Waiting just for that. The chairman jutted his chin, ordering. Make your son transfer to another school. Then I will let this go. He scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. I'm afraid that's difficult. His mother insisted on him studying at the best school in Korea, so getting in was also very hard work. Hearing that, the chairman gave a soft, cold snort. Then he slowly walked up in front of him. His burly, large physique was taller than him by a head. He looked down at him, growling, "You should listen when I'm speaking nicely." But he wasn't afraid and looked straight into his face. "Don't do anything that makes both of us regret it." Suddenly, the chairman swung his hand and slapped him straight in the face. Although he was hit until his mouth bled, his eyes showed no sign of fear. Seeing that, he became even angrier. "You bastard." Then he continuously threw punches, causing him to collapse. Supporting himself with one hand on the ground, the chairman grabbed his hair while saying, "We'll stop here for today." His eyes looked at him extremely terrifyingly. "Transfer that brat to another school immediately. Otherwise I will make it so he can never set foot in this country again. Understood?" Then he coldly threw him to the ground. "Remember to give him a compensation sum. And a very generous treatment fee." The assistant bowed. "Yes, Mr. Chairman." A while later, the assistant drove Konggon's father home. When he got out, he immediately pulled out a stack of checks. Each one is equivalent to 10 million won. "Please accept this. This is the treatment fee for your injuries." Seeing him not respond, he spoke again. "Is this not enough? Let me tell you beforehand, calling the police is useless. Our corporation sponsors them heavily." He turned away. "That won't happen." The assistant called out from the car. "So you don't need the treatment fee anymore, right?" But before he could finish, he snatched the stack of checks and walked away angrily. Watching his retreating back, the assistant couldn't help but snort coldly. "Idiot." After opening the door, he quietly went into Konggon's room. Seeing the wound on his face, he was very worried. "Dad, are you okay?" He just waved his hand, signaling he was fine. No need to worry. However, Konggon's mother's eyes were full of murderous intent. In the room, Konggon's father was furiously typing on the keyboard. That chairman didn't know he had offended North Korea's strongest hacker. "You bastard, I'll show you who you just messed with." The next day, the chairman was drinking tea, relaxing in his office. Suddenly the assistant pushed the door open and spoke urgently. We are in trouble, Chairman." He narrowed his eyes in blame. "Don't you know how to knock? Why are you in such a panic early in the morning?" The assistant stammered in fear. The company's servers are all down." What is the IT department doing?" "The entire IT department's computers are also dead. Service portals are paralyzed. Customers are continuously requesting refunds from sales links." At this point, he couldn't stay calm anymore. He immediately pressed the phone to call a staff member, asking why this was happening. The person on the other end replied, "Chairman, we have a big problem. The bank just called, saying all our accounts are frozen." "What?" Hearing that, his eyes couldn't hide the anxiety. By evening, after thinking for half a day, the chairman still didn't understand what had happened. Suddenly the room door was pushed open by someone. Thinking it was the assistant, he immediately asked, "Is there any sign of a solution? What did the bank say?" But seeing no response, he turned around. Standing in front of him was Konggon's mother. But now, she no longer had the gentle appearance of a housewife, taking care of husband and child. The chairman looked up and asked her, "Who is security? Why let a street vendor in here?" Konggon's mother replied, "I put them all to sleep. You know all the security cameras have been disabled, right?" He stood up angrily. "What the hell is this crazy woman saying? It's annoying enough already, and yet." But before he could finish, she took action. With just one move, she gently subdued the chairman, making him unable to move. She spoke while taking a syringe out of her coat. "Do you know who you just messed with? Normally, I would kill you. But be grateful to him. I promised him I wouldn't kill anymore." Having said that, she immediately stabbed the needle into his neck. "I will wake you up in 3 years when Gon graduates." The next day, Gon prepared his books and supplies to get ready for school. He turned back to greet his parents. "I'll be back." The two also replied, "Have a good school day, son." Seeing the wound on his father's face, he felt like he had done something wrong. "Something? I'm sorry, because of me?" His mother immediately laughed and patted his hand. Oh my, son. You don't have to worry about anything, mom and dad handled it all. So just go to school with peace of mind. A while later, Kanggon was in the classroom. When she saw him, Lara waved at him in a friendly way. He thought to himself, so in Korea, parents intervene in their children's affairs immediately, huh? Not easy at all. Jin Suk sitting next to him suddenly spoke up. Hey, did you hear the news? Gu Young's dad fainted. Heard his company is also unstable. Stroke or heart attack, something like that. Hearing that, Kanggon immediately remembered his mother's words. Mom and dad handled it all, just go to school. He shook his head, no way, no way. At this moment, Liara came over to chat. What are you doing this weekend? Weekend? Invite him too, okay? Come to my birthday party. He asked back, birthday party? Yeah, it's my birthday party. You'll come, right? Yeah, I'll come. She happily waved at him, good. I will send you the address. A few minutes later, Gu Young also walked into the class. When Lara asked him, Gu Young, is your dad okay? He just walked past without answering. He sat down at the back row, one desk away from Jin Suk, remaining silent the whole class. Time passed very quickly, school was over. When Kanggon was about to leave, 3 friends called him. Going alone today? Classmates? He thought, then answered, yeah, I guess. Then come with us, we take the bus. The girl in the group introduced herself, I am Shin Hyun. This is Seo Jong-jun. He also replied, nice to meet you. And this is my best friend? Kian-ie Joy. Nice to meet you, Gon. We also want to be friends with you. He said, very happy to meet you guys. Which way is your house? He replied, Bampo Blue Tower. Hearing that, all 3 immediately widened their eyes, jaws dropped. You must be very rich. That's the most expensive apartment there. It's just my parents' house. Even so, that's really cool. Our cram school is also near there. So we can take the bus together? That's right. There is a super delicious tteokbokki shop right in front of the academy. Wanna go eat together? Tteokbokki? The guy with glasses looked intense. No one can refuse this dish. The 4 went into a rice cake restaurant near the school. Just waiting a bit, the food was brought to the table fully, not missing a dish. It's very delicious, you won't be disappointed. Thanks for the meal. As expected, this tteokbokki is number 1. Right. Seeing he didn't move his chopsticks, Shin Hyun asked. Don't tell me this is your first time eating tteokbokki. Of course not. He immediately hid his embarrassment by picking up a piece of spicy rice cake and putting it in his mouth. However, he didn't expect its taste to be so spicy it breathed fire. His reaction made the group unable to help laughing out loud. After drinking a glass of cold water, his throat was soothed. They started confiding. Actually, I'm a bit surprised. I thought you wouldn't blend in with us. Because right after you transferred, you hung out with people like Jin Suk or Gu Young. We are also in the special class but still different from them. I don't quite understand, can you clarify? Look at Era's group or Jin Suk's group. We feel a bit inferior. But our joy has never lost the first place in the whole school. Isn't that very impressive? Actually, those guys will all study abroad anyway. So me keeping first place is considered default. Kanggon thought, these people are not in the file. These are normal Korean students. What is this? Someone's voice suddenly rang out in the shop, causing them to turn their heads. A group of male students walked in. The bunch of rich kids from the international school are gathering at our spot again. Why do rich kids crawl in here to cause trouble? The shop is already cramped. Are you planning to steal the commoners' seats too? Hey, when someone asks, you should answer. The 4-eyed friend stood up saying to everyone, let's go. But that guy stood blocking him. You planning to leave? We finished eating so we intended to give up the table. He narrowed his eyes and smirked. Not so easy. You guys are rich kids, right? Then put his hand on 4-Eye's shoulder speaking threateningly. Treat us to a meal. Seeing that, Kanggon immediately swatted his hand away. Are you guys beggars? That guy was a bit stunned being spoken to like that. Then angrily pulled his hand away from his grip. A black-haired guy in the group spoke up. I thought your school was full of obedient kids. Turns out there's one who knows how to talk back. Usually, I just need to threaten lightly to get pocket money. Kanggon calmly said, if you aren't beggars, then you are robbers. Don't beat around the bush. Pay for this meal and get lost. Yeah, then you guys can peacefully go to cram school. Since you said that, I can't let it slide. Let's go outside to talk. Suddenly Shin Hyun spoke up, let me pay. He just transferred so he doesn't know. The black-haired guy snorted coldly, what now? Trying to act cool? Nothing will happen, don't worry. Saying that, Kanggon immediately pulled out a few stacks of cash. My family is rich. I live on the royal floor of Bampo Blue Tower. Now do you want to talk? A while later, the whole group gathered in a deserted alley. Kanggon looked around thinking, probably has cameras. Over there, they started discussing with each other. Why is this guy so confident? He said he would give pocket money, so let him be, right? Kanggon imagined in his head. He would beat them up. But no, there are classmates here. I have to be careful. Then, one guy warmed up while walking over. Do you know who we are? We are the boxing team of Seoul Sports School. Bastard. He threw a punch attacking Kanggon. But he dodged it easily. He asked them, you guys are athletes? The other guy angrily continued to strike, you bastard. This time it was Kanggon's turn to act. With just a right uppercut, he made that guy lie down gasping for air. Black Hair was stunned thinking, just one hit? The whole group screamed angrily, you're dead for sure. Suddenly Black Hair spoke up, don't move. He asked Kanggon, you know Guyang, right? That guy used to be in my group. Seems like you haven't been taught a lesson by Guyang yet. He raised his voice threateningly, just give 500,000 won each month. Do that and we won't touch the kids at school. What do you think? Kanggon thought, is this the most dangerous bastard? Not waiting for his answer, he took a stance. If you need time to think, maybe a beating will help you think faster. After speaking, he immediately rushed to attack Kanggon. Although his striking speed was very fast, he was still dodged by him very smoothly. Even movements not yet unleashed were predicted by him and neutralized with his legs easily. He screamed in anger, you bastard. You really need to be taught a lesson. The fight was getting very intense. When the authorities suddenly appeared. What are you kids doing? Seeing that, the group quickly shoved the police aside and hurriedly fled. But before the black-haired guy could escape, he was hit in the head by a Samsung thrown by him, causing the guy to fall flat on his face. Very quickly, the whole group was invited to the station for tea. Over there, Kanggon's friends were reporting the incident to the police. I said we didn't really fight. They caused trouble at the snack shop. Caused what trouble? The police angrily asked the black-haired guy. Did you really do that? Do you know how serious robbery is? He raised both hands saying nonchalantly. We just go to cram school together. I just asked to borrow a little money for food. And they wouldn't even give it. The police asked, then why fight? If you don't explain clearly, everyone will be taken to the police station to rewrite their statements. Understood? We are the victims. The three black-haired guys said, my friend was beaten by this guy. Why are you guys the victims? The three immediately retorted. Because you all rushed in to beat Gon. Right, that's right. The police slammed his hand on the report angrily. Everyone be quiet immediately. Want to rewrite the statement? A while later, a man arrived at the station. Police, hello. I heard my student is here so. When Black Hair saw that person, he was very apprehensive. Teacher. Yes, sorry, I am his teacher. Hello. Did he commit a serious crime? Nothing big. We came because a citizen reported it. There are no serious victims either. I will discipline him strictly. Sorry again. Yes. I am a fan of Mr. Chu Sun-soo. Please manage him so he doesn't cause trouble. Immediately after, this guy had his ear pinched by the teacher. You have a debut match coming up. And you go causing trouble with civilians? Speaking, his eyes suddenly noticed Kanggon. Kanggon also looked back at him without fear. Follow me, brat. I can walk myself. Finally, 4 people remained. The police said. You kids can only leave when parents come to pick you up. In the evening, Kanggon was picked up by his father. At the dining table, the three immediately held a family meeting. Comrade, do you know what you just did? I'm sorry. Dear, people said our child bullied friends. Even so, it is unacceptable. It should have been handled before going to the police station. Korea is an information society, no? Didn't I say everything is recorded? Kanggon bowed his head, I apologize. Mother held his hand comforting, don't be sad, son. Everything is settled now. Korea is indeed complicated. How long do you plan to show such weakness? Weakness like this? Kanggon seriously replied, no, sir. I will ensure this never happens again. Starting today, I will take the bus. Don't come to pick me up anymore. The next day at school, Kanggon accidentally saw Gu Young talking to the guy he knocked out yesterday. When seeing Kanggon, the guy was also a bit scared and hurriedly scurried away. He asked Gu Young. Do you know those guys? He replied, none of your business. Having spoken, he turned away and walked straight without looking at him. After that, Kanggon met the group of 3 new friends from yesterday again. But this scene was accidentally caught by Jin Suk. In the classroom, Jin Suk curiously asked Kanggon. Why did you go with that bunch today? Is something wrong? We are all classmates. Friends should at least be of the same class. Playing with that type of person is just lowering your standards. Only, he felt confused. What does this guy ultimately want to say? Finally, Jin Suk just gave a few warnings. Do whatever you want. Just don't make it an eyesore to people, understand? Then Kanggon received a message from Lara. This is the party venue, Hilton Hotel. Below the message was the address on the map attached. Kanggon looked up at the desk above and saw Lara holding her phone smiling at him. He also raised his phone, responding with a polite smile. Seeing that, Jin Suk sitting next to him also snorted coldly. At noon in the dining hall, Kanggon was scooping lunch at the school cafeteria. As expected of an elite school, cooking according to rich kids' standards. Every dish is delicious and full of nutrition, making him unable to resist eating like he was starved. Seeing him, the new friend group intended to come up to chat, but seeing Jin Suk was also there, they left. Jin Suk put the food tray on the table. You don't show weakness. Because you are too soft, they stick to you like hungry leeches. Those poor wretches are starting to resemble hyenas. Just as he finished speaking, Liara came over. Gone. Did you check the Kakao message? This weekend you must come to my birthday. Kanggon smiled replying, I know. With Kanggon, it will surely be fun. You are completely in Era's sights now. Here, Jin Suk couldn't take it anymore, slammed the table and stood up. Lost my appetite, clear this away. Kanggon seeing that was very angry. But not because of the attitude. But because he took rice without eating it. Capitalist bastard, wasting leftovers like this is such a pity. What now? Or should I just eat it? After school? Kanggon was intending to go home with the new friend group, when he ran into Jin Suk. Get in the car, I'll take you home. He refused. No, today I'm taking the bus. Jin Suk turned back angrily. I said get in, did you hear? Seeing his friends behind look scared. He agreed, okay. Hey, in the car Jin Suk said to him. I told you earlier not to hang out with those poor lowlifes, right? He thought to himself. Why is this guy suddenly snapping at me? Also, don't go to Era's birthday party. I said don't. Become a thorn in others' eyes. Don't understand? No, Kanggon doesn't understand what you mean. It annoys me to see you and Era being close. What the hell? What nonsense is this guy spouting? My family and Era's are close acquaintances. Kanggon thought to himself. Socializing acquaintances, something like that, right? Is this a signal? Jin Suk continued. The person who will be mine later. Noticing someone like you, my pride would be hurt, wouldn't it? Seeing him not answer, he asked, why, not happy? Kanggon wondered, so that means, because of that, you want to deal with me? Let me out here. Jin Suk frowned, his eyes showing annoyance. Are you giving me attitude? He suddenly glared, stop the car. Seeing that look, Jin Suk dared not say anything more. Stepping out of the car, he turned back and dropped a sentence. Friends shouldn't be like that with each other. Inside the car, Jin Suk screamed angrily at the bodyguard. Deal with him for me, eliminate him immediately. But the bodyguard said, not my job. What? Do you want to be fired? The person who hired me isn't you, young master, but your father. Jin Suk pulled out his phone. This guy is really insolent. Servants must follow the master's orders. Hello dad, the bodyguard refuses to listen to me. Then he handed the phone, let him listen. Yes, I got it. Yes. Yes, understood. Then the bodyguard went out to call Kanggon back. Student. Come back and apologize for what you did wrong. I also don't want to be said to have laid hands on a child. That guy is also pitiful. What did I do wrong to apologize? This isn't about right or wrong, but about having power or not. Kanggon calmly replied. Is that so? Then there's even less need to apologize. There are many people watching, and cameras too. Is it okay? He pointed in another direction, follow me. I saw a spot over there when passing by, but his eyes also gradually became cold. Go there to finish the talk. But surprisingly, the bodyguard didn't follow Kanggon. He went back to the car and sat in the driver's seat. Jin Suk asked him angrily, what are you doing? I told you to teach him a lesson. Too many people watching. Plus there are cameras. He furiously grabbed the bodyguard's collar. What the hell are you saying? Should have dragged him somewhere else and beat him. I can't leave the protection target far away. You call that a reason? Get out right now. And beat him. Your father said there isn't much time before the election. He also told me to be careful. Don't get involved in unnecessary matters. If you schedule a private meeting another day, I will talk to him for you. Hearing that, although Jin Suk was extremely unwilling inside, ultimately he still didn't dare to go against his father's words. I don't like anyone here. After that, Kanggon walked straight home. Behind the wall, there was someone secretly following him. He was the black-haired guy in the bullying group. From the previous day. He was talking to someone on the phone. Does this guy really live here? Seeing Kanggon approaching, he immediately revealed himself. We aren't done talking yet, understand? Who is this kid? On the phone was a picture of Four Eyes, who had been captured by his men. Follow me, you bastard. 30 minutes later, Kanggon was led to an abandoned factory area. He quickly saw his four-eyed friend scared. Sitting in a corner, the black-haired guy turned back to say to him, earlier I was worried you wouldn't come here. What business do we have with someone like you? Let him go. He warned Four Eyes. You know what will happen. If I report to the police, those girls you hang out with will also be implicated. Understand, Gon? Sorry, He patted his shoulder comforting. Just stay here, come with me. Just as he finished speaking, Kanggon immediately rushed forward with extremely fast speed. In just a blink of an eye, the black-haired guy was punched by him into the wall, so fast that the rest couldn't react at all. Next, he took down each with just one punch collapsing on the spot. Finally, only a blonde guy remained. He was so scared he screamed, "Who the hell are you, bastard?" The ending was still getting punched by Kanggon until his face ID was distorted. At this moment, the black-haired guy slowly woke up. Seeing the scene before his eyes, the guy went pale with fear. Kanggon coldly said to them, "If I leave it like this, you guys will continue to bother us, right?" Kanggon looked around for a while and discovered some pieces of wood on the ground. He picked up a piece of wood, then stomped to break it, and took a few sharp splinters from the broken part. Then he threw the log straight back. The black-haired guy, though very scared, still talked tough. "I won't let this go, you bastard." But before he finished speaking, he was thrown to the ground by him. "You said you know boxing, right?" While speaking, he squeezed his hand tight, then slowly brought the wood splinter close to his finger. "Dongjun, wait for me outside." After Dongjun left, Kanggon started his revenge show. "If you dare touch my friends again, I'll show you what will happen." Then a miserable scream echoed in the factory, making Dongjun shudder. It turned out his pinky finger was pierced by a wood splinter, bleeding ceaselessly. And he was in so much pain that tears and snot ran everywhere. Kanggon warned him, "This time only one. And just the pinky nail, only 3 centimeters in. If you still lurk around me, then it will go into the rest of the fingernails and toenails. Clear? Make sure from now on, we never see each other's faces again. Understand?" When Kanggon left, the whole group, pretending to faint, dared to whisper to each other, "Is he gone?" Truly terrifying. Kanggon walked and thought, was that too excessive? After all, they are just kids. After going outside, he said to Dongjun, "From now on you won't have to worry anymore." He put his arm around him. "You understand, right? Keep today's matter a secret. Have you eaten yet? Not yet? Want to go eat tteokbokki? That shop is very delicious." The next day at school, Dongjun still seemed somewhat apprehensive whenever talking to Kanggon. He thought to himself, "Whatever, anyway it seems things over there are fine." At this moment, Jin Suk suddenly walked over to Gu-young. "Hey, clear the gym tonight." Then, he turned back to look at him with a meaningful smirk. Kanggon thought, now things are much easier. But surprisingly, when hearing Jin Suk say, "Clear the gym for me tonight," Gu-young refused. "You know my dad is in the hospital, right? I don't want to bother with these trivial matters now." Kanggon, seeing that, immediately made a sarcastic remark. "Things didn't go your way, huh? Bastard, just you wait. Once I find a place." "I understand." His careless attitude drove him crazy, but he couldn't do anything. Kanggon walked over to ask Gu-young, "Why did you do that, Dongjun?" Not giving him a chance to explain, he tightly gripped his shoulder threateningly. "Don't touch them again. Clear? And let me use the gym today, because I think I need to settle the ranking matter." While speaking, his eyes glanced at Jin Suk. Outside the gym, the bodyguard was waiting next to the yellow car. He thought to himself, I have to beat up some kids again. But to be fair, they aren't exactly on a kid's level. Is that so? Then probably no need to apologize. No matter what, I can't lose to a high school student. At this moment, someone walked over from afar. The bodyguard was startled realizing it was an acquaintance. Long time no see. I heard you quit the company. The bodyguard hurriedly bowed, sorry. But the man said, what's there to be sorry about? It's just work. With our meager salary. I understand. How is your mother lately? You know? Of course I know. You were quite good among the young agents. So your sudden resignation was very strange. No, I'm sorry. I heard you went abroad so I couldn't contact you. Mission, didn't know when I'd return so I couldn't help it. But why did you come here? You know, this matter involves national security. Sorry. Maybe being in the real world too long, I lost my tact. Not at all. Just in time, I wanted to ask you something. You know the CEO Huang case, right? The bodyguard replied. I read in the paper he is in a coma due to cerebral hemorrhage. Right, that's right. But orders keep coming down from above. The bodyguard's eyes showed surprise. What? They say it's possible Sato did it. Sato? Not that Sato, right? That's not all. The previous arson and hacking attacks. The man frowned, saying they suspect the North caused them. You heard it too, right? That Zero came from the North. The bodyguard sweated. That hacker Zero? The man just felt this was absurd. Sato disappeared 15 years ago. Suddenly appearing. Targeting a mediocre company CEO. Not the president or prime minister. Plus, Zero hacker, hunted all over the world. Attacking a company ranked 30th in the market. But his eyes narrowed. Why? What is the purpose? Doesn't make sense at all. Finally, he patted the bodyguard's shoulder. Anyway, good to see you again. I'll write the report then go abroad for a mission again. The bodyguard thought, I'm also glad to see you again. Hope you have a healthy retirement. Anyway, Sato and Zero. No way those legends are in Korea. A while later, 3 people were present in the octagon cage. Kong-gon was putting on gloves. And Jin-suk looked gleeful, thinking he was about to get revenge on him. The bodyguard was immersed in his own thoughts. I'm so pathetic. Even if it's for money. It's time to retire. Gu-young said to them, I'm leaving. Jin-suk asked, why leave so early? Stay and watch. I lent you the gym and gave you a ride. That's enough. Are you still angry? After I beat this guy down. Be my right hand again, okay? Gu-young coldly replied to him, not interested. Seeing that, he couldn't help cursing silently. Ungrateful bastard. At this moment, Kong-gon suddenly said to Jin-suk. If I defeat that guy, will you be my lackey? Hearing that, the guy was extremely angry. But not waiting for his reaction, he continued. Just keep bringing people saying they are stronger. Then bring others even stronger. When will it end? So fighting here is pointless. Jin-suk confidently declared. You can't win. He pointed to his bodyguard. He used to be an agent of the National Intelligence Service. Kong-gon frowned. Really? Then this will be very fun. The bodyguard said to him. Apologize to Jin-suk. Right now and I'll pretend this never happened. He suddenly asked, do you have no self-respect? Someone who said he was an agent. Yet beats kids for money. From your perspective, it probably looks like that. I don't want to do this either. That's why I'm giving you a chance to back out. What if I don't want to? Then there's no other way. I'll go easy. Don't get injured. If you rush at me with nonsense martial arts, you will get hurt. Just as he finished speaking, a kick from Kong-gon flew in. The bodyguard's skills were not average either. He dodged very quickly. However, that was just a probing move by Kong-gon. He spun around and unleashed another, more powerful kick. Sure enough, the bodyguard blocked it this time as well. But he had to struggle to do so. He silently assessed. Kong-gon is much stronger and faster than me. Seeing this scene, Jin-suk didn't dare to boast anymore and just watched in silence. The bodyguard said to Kong-gon, but if you rush at me with those nonsensical martial arts moves, you will get hurt. He thought to himself, his reflexes are truly on another level. Should I pretend to take a few hits and lose? Jin-suk shouted, what are you standing there for? Beat him down. Kong-gon began to take a stance. Former Korean Taekwondo champion, huh? Let's see how good your skills are. He immediately attacked, but the bodyguard dodged it. Looking at Kong-gon's fingers, he couldn't help but be astonished. Wasn't that a strike aimed at my eyes? Then, the two began to exchange moves. The bodyguard grabbed Kanggon's collar, intending to execute a horizontal throw. But Kanggon used his leg to break the bodyguard's grappling move, then seized the opportunity to launch a strike into the area under his arm. The bodyguard clutched his wound with a pained expression. What the hell is this guy? This doesn't look like normal martial arts. Kanggon thought to himself. It seems if I do this half-heartedly, he won't go down. Seeing the two stop, Jin-suk yelled, "What are you doing? I told you not to hold back, just kill him with your bare hands." But when Kanggon turned around and glared, the guy immediately shut his mouth. The match continued. The bodyguard rushed forward, continuously attacking Kanggon, but all his attacks were neutralized by him. Then, Kanggon quickly used a chokehold to take the bodyguard to the ground. But it seemed this move didn't faze the bodyguard. The two separated again. He thought to himself, he withstood that move? He asked, "You haven't used a real punch this whole time, right? Now you realize you're not skilled enough to go easy on me, don't you?" He realized it. He replied, "I apologize for underestimating you just because you're a student. So, will you fight seriously now?" The bodyguard unexpectedly said to Kanggon, "I lost." "I've lost, so you don't need to apologize." Jin-suk was furious. "What are you saying? Just fight with all your might." "What do you mean lost? Do you want to get fired?" The bodyguard said to him. "You should stop too. I will submit my resignation." Before leaving, he didn't forget to tell Kanggon, "I want to have a proper rematch later. Of course, outside the ring. If the two of us ever get the chance." Hearing this, Kanggon smiled and didn't reply. At this moment, inside the gym, only he and Jin-suk remained. "Now, shall we talk? What should I do with you? You dare to touch me? Do you know who my dad is?" "Of course I know. The presidential candidate of the Liberty Party. I heard that in half a year, he will become the president of this country. Did you hear that clearly? If you touch me." But when he saw Kanggon's arm raise up, he didn't dare to speak anymore. Kanggon thought, with the way he keeps rambling, my dad this, my dad that, he's just a spoiled brat. Should I end him right here? Anyway, he did treat me to a meal of meat once. Seeing Kanggon do nothing, he thought Kanggon was afraid. "Smart choice, you bastard. If you don't listen to me." Suddenly, he reached up and squeezed his face. "Have you always been this cowardly?" Even though he was terrified, he still acted tough. "You're the one who's scared, right? Just as I thought, you don't dare to touch me. Is that so?" As he spoke, his hand slowly tightened. Feeling the pressure, Jin-suk started to stammer. I can't breathe." The pain made him tear up in regret. Feeling it was enough, Kanggon loosened his grip. "Let's stop here. That's enough for you to understand." Jin-suk was still unconvinced. "You bastard, I'll tell my dad, and someone like you, with just one word from my dad. You brat, I'll kill you." But then, just a moment later, he had to give in. I won't do it anymore." Kanggon looked at him. "Your eyes still have fire in them, don't they? Seems like you'll cause trouble again. Listen clearly. I can make you suffer to the extreme, without leaving a single scratch. I can turn every day you go to school into hell. No, of course, you won't sit still. You'll probably use your dad's power like you bragged to take revenge on me. Am I wrong? And when that happens, do you think I'll be trembling in fear? Do you really think I look like that?" Kanggon looked straight into his face. "I came to this country to make friends, study hard, get into a good university, later, find a good job, and finally climb to a high position." Jin-suk thought to himself, "You bastard, you're done for." Kanggon continued, "You think I'll let you off? That is the path I must take at all costs. And if you stand in my way..." Jin-suk only felt that in front of Kanggon, he was just a tiny insect, unable to escape his hand. At that moment, Liara suddenly turned back, so he stopped. "Is this the kind of thing you guys always do? I will make sure this never happens again." Watching them leave, he thought to himself, "Is that enough? I feel it's still a bit lacking." The next day at Seoul International School, Kanggon arrived at class and discovered Jin-suk was not there. "Go, Jin-suk isn't here today? Maybe I should have finished him off." Liara asked. "You're coming to my birthday party tomorrow, right? Remember to come." He smiled and replied, "Of course." Meanwhile, at Jin-suk's house. "Dad, did you say your son was beaten?" He couldn't stop yelling at his father. "Dad, please. This man is the chairman of the Liberty Party, Go Young-jang." He rested his chin on his hand, closed his eyes and said, "Really? You skipped school and now this? What are you doing?" I told you already. That guy beat me half to death. I almost suffocated and died. You're exaggerating. There isn't a single scratch on you. He didn't dare look at his father. You're joking, right? You're not an elementary school student anymore. Are you going to run home to tell your dad? Every time you fight with friends? Tell me the truth, you're scared enough not to dare go to school because of him? Then why not take this opportunity to go to the US and study abroad with your sister? Then he called someone into the room. Unexpectedly, it was the bodyguard. Mr. Han, you're here? Seeing this, Jin Suk screamed in anger. He ignored me, that's why I got beaten up like this. The father shouted loudly, shut up. Do you know how much effort I spent to invite Special Agent Han here? If you know what's good for you, show some respect. Apologies, I spoiled my youngest too much, raising him like a prince. So now he's this spoiled and immature. Han replied, as you said, if I continue to protect your son, I will be paid accordingly. No, it's not that. It's just, I'm just curious. He keeps bothering me. Do you know anything about my son being beaten? How could you let him get beaten right in front of your eyes? Han didn't hide it and recounted, it's the truth. Dad, I told you. It's true. Then Han said to him in a serious tone, I advise you. It's best to avoid confronting that student. He asked in surprise, why? Han honestly replied, because even I am not sure I can beat him if I don't use weapons. Hearing this, the father said to Jin Suk, the election is less than 6 months away. Do you know how many politicians have ruined their careers because of school violence scandals involving their children? Do you want that to happen to your father? Besides, if he is strong enough to confront Agent Han, then you should turn him into an ally. If you can't even do that, then how can you follow your father into politics? But Jin Suk was still unconvinced. It's not that, it's just that he keeps acting arrogant. Enough. I don't have time to hear you whine anymore. He made the final decision. This matter ends here. Scene changed to the hotel. Kang Gon was holding his phone walking around. This is the place Go Jin Suk treated me to grilled meat last time. Isn't it? Seeing him appear, someone announced, you arrived 30 minutes early. We are still preparing. I came early so I wouldn't be late. He thought to himself. How did he know me? Did he investigate me? Please come in and wait for a moment. Compared to the last time he came here, the inside was completely different. Lee Era was inside waiting. Kang Gon. You came too early. How is it? Do I look pretty? He unconsciously nodded repeatedly. Seeing this, she couldn't help but laugh. Thank you. The others are arriving soon, wait a bit. I need to finish my makeup. After that, Kang Gon walked to a table and sat down to wait. On the other side, there were also a few guests chatting lively. A while later, Jin Suk also showed up at the party. Seeing him, the crowd quickly approached to strike up a conversation. Jin Suk, how have you been lately? At this moment, Lee Era stepped onto the podium to speak. My dad was supposed to come and give a congratulatory speech, but he adamantly refused. If my dad came, surely the adults would flock in immediately. Anyway, I have prepared an extremely special event for today. I guarantee everyone will be overwhelmed. A once-in-a-lifetime event that no one can forget. As for Kang Gon sitting in a corner, I'm still not used to this kind of atmosphere. From the door, a beautiful girl walked in. Seeing her, Lee Era hurriedly ran over calling in a friendly voice. The guests also quickly went up to say hello. Seeing everyone had left, Jin Suk couldn't help but brag. Soon, that seat will be mine. You know that, don't you? It's still not too late. If you beg for my forgiveness. However, when he saw Kang Gon raise his hand, the guy was scared enough to fall to the ground. Suddenly, the lights in the room went out. He thought in panic, what is happening? A blackout in Korea? What is this? Terrorism? Or taking hostages? Who is the target? The bodyguards haven't arrived yet. Seeing a dark shadow approaching the two girls, Kang Gon immediately acted. Era is the top priority target. Don't interfere with my mission. He quickly subdued the opponent. But when the lights turned on, it turned out it was just a man preparing to give flowers. Everyone looked at him with eyes full of astonishment. Seeing this, Kang Gon hurriedly let him go. The man explained, I am here to congratulate Miss Era on her 18th birthday. I will begin the special performance by 9 voice. Music quickly began to play. Kang Gon thought, turns out the performer was far away. Lee Era was looking at him with angry eyes. The party ended, and he trudged home alone. He regretted it deeply, hitting his own head repeatedly. Why did that happen? A hostage situation in Korea? Recalling that moment, Lee Era was extremely angry. Do you know how hard I worked to invite them here? No? Apologize. Enough, Era. But wasn't it really cool? What do you mean cool? The leader of Nine Voice left in tears. That girl insisted on defending Kanggon. Didn't he rush in to save you? What if the thing in his hand wasn't a flower? What if it was a real kidnapper? How dangerous would that be? Yet he didn't hesitate at all. And rushed over to protect you. It was very cool, wasn't it? Lee Era thought about it and felt it made sense. So the two girls laughed while looking at Kanggon, leaving him completely confused. That girl was the daughter of the current president of South Korea, Han Yu. The next day at Seoul International High School, as soon as Kanggon appeared, he was surrounded by a group of female students. You were so cool yesterday. Are you a master of flirting? So everything is settled, right? Is today the first day you two are officially dating? Era waved her hands laughing. Oh my god. Who said that? It's not like that. When he got back to his seat, Jin Suk said to him, know your place. You are the guy who ruined Era's birthday party. What? Planning to start trouble with me again? Just try it, you brat. However, when he stretched out his hand, the guy reacted like a cat whose tail was stepped on. Everyone seeing this scene didn't understand why either. He asked him, you like Era that much? If so, be a man and say it straight out. Don't beat around the bush making excuses and causing trouble for everyone around you. Midterms are coming soon, don't mess with me. My goal is, of course, the highest score. In the blink of an eye, the exams arrived. Sitting in class, Kanggon was highly focused on the test. He held the pen and wrote line after line, so fast that everyone had to turn around and look. When the grades were announced, the results did not disappoint him. First place Kanggon, second place Shinzuna, third place Jeong Donggu. Up to this point, everything was progressing smoothly. Scene changed to Incheon Airport. The Asian International Math Olympiad held in Jeju. Kanggon would participate as the school representative. And Han Juju too, she was also going. This is a great opportunity. Luckily, after the incident last time, my relationship with her is also quite good. Seeing him, Han Juju approached to say hello. Nice to see you. How have you been? Yes, senior. If anything happens, you will protect me too, right, Dark Knight? Then she encouraged everyone, don't be too tense. Yes, we are representatives for Korea. Let's try our best. The group shouted in unison, yes. Kanggon looked around. He silently counted in his head, there were 10 people in total. They were Han Juju's bodyguards. Among them was a young man with a scarred face, who made him feel pressure. This person's eyes were absolutely not ordinary. Kanggon hurriedly avoided the opponent's gaze, not daring to look straight. Indeed, it's S-class, there are no risks taken. The 11th Asian Math Olympiad sponsored by Sunshine Group. The teacher was encouraging the group of students. Everyone go to your rooms to rest. Tomorrow the competition officially starts and lasts for 2 days. The last day will be for sightseeing. You guys know, if you win, you will get a lot of extra points when applying to university. Please try your hardest. If I want to get into a prestigious university, I must win. Why are you suddenly so fired up? Of course, I have to win, but it will be very hard. Because your opponents include 11th and 12th graders too. Are you really that confident? Math for me is? He couldn't help but recall the time he received training in North Korea. Is it because of that dream? Thinking about the old days again. On this side, the man who used to talk to Han also appeared. He had just received news that someone was targeting the young lady. He chatted with the scarred bodyguard. I've heard a lot about you before. You are a talent, yet you only want to stay in the bodyguard team. A pleasure, senior. Have you ever thought about joining the architecture side? I haven't. Lately, we really lack people capable of handling work at the scene. If Korea needs you, just call me anytime. You really please me. After finishing this job, let's talk privately. I understand. Then I beg your leave. Team B, Z48. Check the rooftop and emergency stairs again. Z3579. Verify the number of people entering and exiting all gates. Z410. go with me to check the elevator and the 22nd floor. Z4, check the young lady's room one more time. He thought to himself. Sergeant Kim Hyo, you and the rumors have made me curious. Whatever is said, I have a bad feeling this time. Even though the whole security team has been mobilized. Why do I still feel this uneasy? Scene change to the hotel. Kanggon has been assigned to share this room, buddy. Donggu covers his eyes. He said to him, if you find it inconvenient, I can stay in a separate room. No, it's not that. I'm just afraid you might feel uncomfortable. We are friends, what's inconvenient about it? Instead, I'll take the bed near the window. The training in South Korea. It's completely different from what I was trained for. I heard that outside of Seoul, where the capitalists are concentrated, other regions are poor and lacking. But why do I have such disrespectful thoughts? I am not allowed to doubt the motherland. Donggu asked Kanggon. This is your first time in Jeju, right? So on the last day for sightseeing, let me guide you. There are many interesting things here, and the food is delicious too. Have you been here many times? Certainly. You came back from abroad, so perhaps you don't know. Many people from Seoul come to Jeju to play, because it only takes an hour to fly. Is that so? By the way, lately I see things seem strange between you and Jin Suk. Did you two argue? No, it's nothing. Just that, lately I haven't seen you two talking as much as before. So I thought so. That kid looks so gentle, yet. It turns out he used to be a thug. South Korea is truly. Donggu heard that his parents and the parents of J. CEO all have very high status. What position do your parents hold? Did you see me hanging out with Yuna, Dongjun, and Yeju? I went to eat spicy rice cakes with them, it was so delicious. When we are free, let's go together. Especially Yuna, she is very good at math. You said math was the hardest, right? She was even chosen to take the exam first. Seeing his friend sitting still, Kanggon had to take action. I surrender. I surrender. This is a chance for you to get to know Yuna. Go sightseeing with me for the last meal. I know, Donggu, but you accidentally squeezed a bit too hard and knocked the guy out. Open your eyes, Donggu. In the afternoon, the three of them invited each other to study. Donggu rubbed his head and said, I don't remember when I fell asleep. Probably just because you were too tired. That's right. The seniors from grades 11 and 12 didn't come. They mainly want to compete with opponents of the same level. So they probably don't like studying in a group with us. Why does my throat hurt so much? I feel like I came here just to be a background character for them. With such excellent representatives. Why did they call us here? They called us because they needed us. Kanggon handed the two a stack of papers. This looks exactly like the mock exam, doesn't it? These are questions from the international math. Exams from the last 5 years. But exam questions aren't allowed to be leaked out. You mean you found each sentence online and pieced them together? Right? You didn't compile this whole pile yourself, did you? Did you scour foreign servers too? This is what that fake father prepared for Kanggon. You must win the competition this time, right? If so, let me take this opportunity to study for you. No, it's not that. What's wrong? Didn't you set a goal to become the champion? I can win with my own strength. Is that so? In that case, let me help you a bit. First, we must clearly identify who sets the questions. Next is to understand how they set the questions. Collect similar questions. This is interesting. Looking at his frantic appearance made him break out in a sweat. At that moment, a girl suddenly walked up to the three's table. Speaking in Japanese. Excuse me for interrupting. When he saw the opponent's face, Gon was extremely astonished. That is number 13. Why did number 13 appear in this place? His two friends whispered to each other. What is this girl saying? I don't understand Japanese. Kanggon unexpectedly spoke Japanese, startling the other two. Do you need our help with something? Can you show me where to plug in my phone charger? I just realized my phone is out of battery when I arrived. You can go into the convenience store to charge it. The two thought to themselves. He really is good at communication, even fluent in Japanese. I don't know the way, could you guide me there? Since I'm not fluent in your language, I'm a bit apprehensive. What are you guys discussing? She asked me to go to the convenience store with her. You guys stay here and solve the problems, I'll be right back. Suppose Gon wasn't fluent in Japanese right now. What would happen? The two walked to the beach. Number 13 turned back and asked Kanggon, are you still doing well? Our last meeting must have been 5 years ago. Right? He didn't reply, his heart filled with thoughts. The children who used to train hard together back then. It's unclear since when. Each person silently disappeared without a goodbye. Why did they disappear? Where are they now? I used to ask myself those questions. But no matter what, I had to find the answer. I don't think they deserted or fled. Because just existing in that place was already too difficult. Number 13 asked him, "What is your name?" Kangon, that's quite a nice name. His hands clenched tight. What about you? How have you spent your days? Number 13 replied in Japanese, "My name is Tomo. It's nice to see you again. Although it's a bit late, it's time to return." Before leaving, Tomo warned him, "Be careful." Careful? Does it involve a mission? Kangon returned to the library. Why are you back so late? Since I was out, I took a moment to breathe some fresh air. You sly guy, telling us to study, while you? Show us how to solve quickly. Here is. Oh wow, Kangon. Is something wrong? Huh? What do you mean? Simply that I see your expression isn't very good. Maybe it's because my stomach is acting up a bit. Okay, I'll go to the restroom for a bit. You two go back and rest first. You've grasped how to do these problems already. Don't overwork yourselves because of us. That's right. That's right. Yuna and I will solve a few more problems before heading back. Yeah, I understand. Kangon thought as he walked. Is number 13's mission targeting number 0? No, but that makes no sense at all. If it were an assassination of number 0, then the superiors should have sent the order down to me as well. Room 1217, the special room reserved for number 0. But this place is always under strict surveillance by bodyguards, so surely nothing will happen. Returning to his room, he immediately called his dad. On the other end of the line, he was sitting in front of a computer screen. Is it my son? Jeju Island must be very interesting, right? He spoke in a serious voice, Comrade Manjo Kong. Has any order been transmitted from the party? An order? Why do you suddenly ask that, comrade? You don't know? Speak clearly. It's nothing. I will handle it myself. Having said that, Kangon immediately hung up. At home, his mom asked, "What's about an order? Is something wrong?" I think someone related to the organization appeared around Gon, so the boy asked. Wait a moment. Don't act hastily. First, we must understand what the situation is. His hands moved swiftly on the keyboard. Not much time had passed, and he had hacked into the camera system at the hotel where Kangon was staying. Found it. The screen quickly displayed an image of Kangon. He thought, if the party has no instructions, then I will meet number 13 directly to verify. Thinking so, he went to the front desk. How can I help you, sir? I am looking for a Japanese friend participating in the exam. Her name is Tomo. Could you please tell me the room number? I apologize, sir. We are not allowed to disclose customers' personal information here. Is that so? Can you help me call up to the room and tell my friend to come down to the lobby? Is that okay? Yes, that is fine. Then please tell her Kangon is looking for her. Yes, please wait a moment. I apologize, sir, she is not picking up. Thank you very much. The phone rang. Kangon immediately picked up. Yes, Dad. What is the background of the person I'm looking for? Stop looking. Dad asks who is the person you need to find? Her name is Tomo. Room 1110, 11th floor corridor is empty. Go up and open the door. I got it. Kangon went to room 1110. He discovered there was no one in the room. He pushed the door and walked in. Comrade Manjo Kang's ability is truly reliable. As long as I have him, any mission, no matter how difficult, can be completed. Number 13 is here alone? Where did she go? The layout in this room is exactly like mine. While observing around, he unexpectedly received a text message from his dad. Someone is at the door. The sound of the room door opening. Walking in was someone wearing hotel staff uniform. But because the room was too dark, Kangon couldn't see the opponent's face clearly. He silently assessed. Is it number 13? Why not? The footsteps sound too heavy. Hotel staff uniform? Why would staff freely enter a guest's room? Is he number 13's assistant? What is that thing he put on the bed? To deliver items secretly like that. When the opponent left, Kangon slowly approached the box. When he opened it, he discovered inside were 2 bombs, along with a detonator. He broke out in a sweat. Crazy. Just this is enough to blow hundreds of people away. Is this truly the party's directive? Why, exactly? Outside there was the sound of footsteps. The Japanese student team was returning to the room. It was really fun. I didn't expect Tomo to be so good at Korean. Darn, number 13 is back. Must hide quickly. Thinking so, he immediately took the detonator from the box. Tomo returned to the room. Very quickly, she detected something suspicious in the room. At this moment, Kong Gon was hiding out on the balcony. He realized Tomo was stepping towards him. He immediately bit the device tightly in his mouth and jumped down below to hide in a blind spot. When Tomo opened the door, she saw nothing. Then Kong Gon used his hands and feet to create friction to slide down safely. Looking up, he couldn't help but sigh in relief. Suddenly, a man's voice rang out. That student there. What are you doing here? He narrowed his eyes. I asked you again, what are you doing here? I didn't sense his presence at all. When he appeared from behind. You look suspicious. What are you doing here at this hour? Fortunately, it seems he didn't see me jump down. In that case, Kong Gon asked back. You are the suspicious one, sir. Who are you? I am a 10th grade student of Seoul International High School, participating in the math competition. And you, why are you here? I mean, why would a student participating in the exam sneak out to a deserted place like this at this hour? Sneak? I didn't sneak. I just intended to go down to the supermarket to buy some late-night snacks. Just then, the scarred bodyguard walked over and whispered to him. I have something to report. Hearing this, he immediately left, not forgetting to remind Kong Gon. Hurry back, don't wander around. He thought, almost got into big trouble going too hastily. But number 13, what order exactly did you receive from that side? On this side, the man was asking the bodyguard. Are you sure? I heard that an intruder from outside penetrated the server system of the hotel. Now, that hacker has wiped all traces and disappeared. Have you tracked him down yet? I apologize, this is beyond our capabilities. Immediately take the young lady to a safe place. This place has become dangerous. Yes. If the young lady refuses to go, I will contact the superiors. Hurry up. Yes. When the bodyguard left, he immediately called someone. Hello, director? I am the head of organizing committee number 3. I received intelligence that they have deployed hackers. First, please ask the young lady to cooperate with us to ensure safety. And please contact V1, dispatch team 3 down here. At the latest by early morning. Among the candidates attending this competition, there is the son of Shi Ilan, ranked 7th in the Tsinghua faction of China, and the daughter of Japanese Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Tanaka. Furthermore, there is our young lady. His eyes became sharp. Just that alone is enough to fracture relations between the 3 nations. Right? Yes, I understand. I will always prioritize safety. If necessary, I will cancel the competition. Then he took out another phone and spoke to the person on the other end in English. John, as you said, Shadow and Zero might be in South Korea. Just as you predicted, Shadow and Zero seem to have actually come to South Korea. At night, Donggu was fast asleep in the room. Only Kong Gon remained lost in thought. Should I ask Comrade Manjo Kong to verify? No. First, I must meet number 13 to clarify the party's directive. If by chance the party ordered the destruction of this place, then this is clearly not an ordinary assassination mission. If the order is to exterminate all those children, then what should I do? His hands couldn't help but clench. Why are you so worried? Are you trying to become a traitor? You must obey the party's orders for the Republic. Suddenly, something flew towards Donggu, who was sleeping on the bed. Kong Gon realized it was a dart dipped in anesthetic. Tomo appeared outside the window reassuring, rest assured. There will be no killing, don't worry. This conversation shouldn't be heard by others. Right, number 7? I came here to take back what belongs to me. Kong Gon asked, is this really the party's order? I ask. Is this really an order issued by the party? The party ordered the extermination of innocent people. Answer me. Is this really the party's order? I need a confirmation. I will contact the party to verify this matter. Tomo shouted, enough. Her eyes became cold. Those who obstruct this mission will be executed on the spot. Saying that, She immediately rushed towards Kong Gon without hesitation. Are you trying to betray the country? Kong Gon hurriedly dodged. Listen to me first. Don't talk nonsense. I will personally report to the party about what you've done. Have you ever heard of Comrade Manjo Kong? The person helping me is Comrade Manjo Kong. No. Reluctantly, he could only subdue Tomo. If I find Comrade Manjo Kong, I can contact the high-ranking leadership of the party. Something is wrong about this mission, let me check. The order is exactly the same, I just verified it. Impossible. I am here, why? Why the bombing order? When Kong Gon was not paying attention, his leg was struck by an anesthetic dart. At this moment, outside there was the sound of a classmate calling him. Gon, Donggu, what are you doing? Come out quickly. Seeing this, Tomo immediately seized Donggu as a hostage. Hand over the controller, otherwise this kid will die. You know 2 doses of this will lead to death from shock, right? But outside the door, the friend kept calling Kong Gon. Kong Gon, Donggu, open the door. It's urgent. In the room, Kong Gon slowly dropped the detonator to the ground. But just a second later, he smashed it directly. Tomo screamed in anger, traitor. He warned her, if you kill that child, you will die too. Finally, Tomo didn't dare to harm Donggu. She calmly opened the door and walked out, leaving that friend shocked speechless. I don't know what they were doing in the room just now. That took so long to open the door. Kong Gon walked out asking, what's happening? The friend honestly recounted. The chairman's daughter said everyone must urgently evacuate outside the hotel. She said this is an emergency. But I know what's going on. South Korea has detected it too. Now everyone must gather in the lobby. But where is Donggu? Is he okay? Why does your face look like that? Donggu is sleeping, I will wake him up. The friend thought, Donggu was with you? But unfortunately, at this moment the anesthetic took effect. Kong Gon quickly collapsed to the ground unconscious. When he woke up, he discovered he and Donggu were lying in another room. The teacher walked in and asked, you're awake? Why did you sleep so deeply? Yesterday I had to run to the emergency room. Because I thought something happened to you guys. But where is this place? The teacher let out a sigh. Yesterday, they suddenly told us to change accommodations. We had to leave a wonderful hotel room to come to a shabby place like this. But what about the other kids? They went to the math competition already. I am here because of you guys. Changing hotels? And what about the math competition? Without waiting for the teacher to finish speaking, Kong Gon hurriedly ran outside. Where are you going? Relying on his memory, he immediately ran to the hotel. But by this time, the hotel was surrounded by police. He couldn't get in. This is a restricted area, please go back. He scratched his head and said, I am a student participating in the math competition. The competition started a while ago, and you're just arriving now? You cannot go in. Yesterday, we suddenly had to change accommodations. I couldn't pack my things. I just want to go back to my room and pack my things, is that okay? The police officer thought for a moment and then agreed. Just pack your things and come out immediately, okay? Thank you. Kong Gon thought to himself. With this level of security, is it safe? No, if I were Agent 13. As long as Agent 13's identity is not exposed, the mission will 100% succeed. The only lucky thing is that I destroyed the controller. It's still too early to relax. Right, the assistant might have prepared a spare. The fastest way is to determine whether Agent 13 is inside or not. The bodyguard saw Kong Gon and asked, are you a student from the international school? Yes, I arrived late. You can't go inside. Yes. There is a temporary accommodation reserved for you. Right? Stay there, this place is very dangerous. I have a friend named Juna studying with me. I was late without giving any notice, so I'm afraid she might be worried. There is still an hour and 10 minutes until the lunch break. At that time, I will let you in for a bit. Yes, thank you. Can I go up to my room for a moment? I left my phone because I was in such a rush yesterday. Thank you. Finding Agent 13's location is the top priority. I must contact Comrade Manjo Kong to check the CCTV inside the examination area. If I can stop that kid, I can temporarily pause the mission. And after that, I can directly verify the information with my superiors. If the target is priority number 0, I will personally eliminate her. There is no need to increase meaningless sacrifices. But as soon as he stepped into the room, Kang Gon saw a familiar figure from behind. It was his mission mother. "Why are you wandering around without your phone? Son, do you know how worried I was?" She hugged him to comfort him. "Nothing bad will happen. So don't worry about anything, son. There is nothing left to worry about. Son, you don't need to concern yourself with anything. Your mission is to make good friends in South Korea. So you just need to focus on that. Do you understand?" The video ends here. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like to sup. Port Gao, okay? Thank you and goodbye everyone.